Thanks, everyone.
Hey. How are you feeling so far?
I feel fine.
Feel fine?
Yeah, this stuff doesn't make me nervous.
I feel like we should need to do like lunges and things to make sure things are working properly and all. Yeah, I think so far so good. And obviously, that if anybody who's watching this, us right now, can give us some quality check on the sound and things will be great.
Let us know it sounds okay.
Yeah, it's actually kind of cool. We got that.
I know.
It looks super, super surreal. So, thank you everybody watching Coffee with Kyan this week. This is a very special lady because she and I started actually IT was roughly around the same time, and we come from quite a bit different of a background, but we're actually fairly similar in age, and then similar in the many different aspects. We're on the same team for quite some time too.
Yes.
So I'll introduce you to Christina.
Hi, I'm Christina. I'm on the Cerner team here. I've been with IT Works for just over about a year and a half. Kyan and I did start very much at the same time. He was with Epic at that point. So we've all made some changes in our lives here. But yeah, it's been a great ride. I didn't start off in staffing, although somewhat staffing adjacent. My first, I guess, big girl job was actually as a marketing assistant for a staffing agency, but seeing things from a completely different standpoint, doing things more like communications and branding and not knowing what went into the day-to-day activities of being a recruiter. So
nice, dive right in. Especially, I know that because I think that this will be very relatable. I think especially talking a little bit more about where you came from. Tell us a little bit about the big girl job perspective, especially from school. I think most of us actually trying to figure out what we're going to do. I think the entire room could probably echo to that. So tell us a little bit about when you get into that big girl job. What
big
that
girl
look like.
job. Oh, it feels so special. Things like 401k. You're like never think about that when you're like a 22-year-old. So, actually, I had a relatively weird ride even getting into my first big girl job. I graduated at Georgia Tech in 2008 with my Bachelor's of Science in Management, got a dual minor in Marketing and Social and Personality Psychology, and it was probably the worst year to graduate college with any of that. So I actually took a little bit of weird route. I bartended for a while. I worked within retail. I did visual presentation. I worked up to becoming a merchandise presentation manager for Banana Republic. And it was just kind of one of those things. Yeah, trust me. When you don't have the discount, that's when it hurts.
oh, I bet.
But yeah, so it was just kind of one of those things where I, took a minute and thought, is retail really what I want to do anymore? And then an opportunity presented itself to me, a friend networking, as I'm sure many of us find our first jobs, told me about a staffing agency she was working at, and there was a marketing assistant position, and so that's kind of how I almost fell into that role. It wasn't even really a proactive step on my part, which is very similar to how I fell into this role here.
It's kind of odd because nobody really went to school for staffing or recruitment.
Exactly.
So everybody come in usually with a different background, and then sometimes come with a little different life experience. Picking up, if you don't mind me going back a little bit more on the timeline, because I know that prior to your arrival at Georgia Tech, you have a very different upbringing, especially on education.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about it.
I was homeschooled. I'm not weird, I promise. I mean, I'm weird. I'm definitely weird.
If you think she's weird, please like and give us that wow emoticon. We'd love to see more traction on this one. So.
But no, my dad was originally in the Air Force, so we didn't move around as much as most families would, but pretty much it was me and my sister are 19 months apart. She's older than me, and my mom just made a decision at a really young age. I went through Montessori preschool, and my sister Becca went through first grade, and then she decided that, since it was kind of uncertain where we might end up, if my dad was going to transition out of the Air Force into a pilot, to start homeschooling.
Take a different route.
Yeah, so it ended up actually being probably one of the best experiences of my life. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, and she actually at that time was not even college educated, but she really dug in, and her decision to homeschool us, she tested us on our personality types, on our learning styles, on our love languages, on our aptitudes, and then delved in and did all of this research on curriculum development. So that way I probably had one of the highest levels of education because my curriculum was 100% focused and tailored for me from literally first grade all the way up. And then I did ultimately go to my junior and senior year at a public high school. But all along that way, it was every single year we would reevaluate. She would use what's called the Iowa testing system, which schools use to make sure that homeschool students are actually passing grades.
In line with the
pushing them along. Yeah.
Wow.
So, but yeah, and actually through that education system, I actually ended up skipping 7th grade. So, and I was signed off by the state of Georgia Board of Education.
Hey, on the way to Georgia Tech.
But it actually taught me a lot of things that have helped me to be successful in life, but also a lot in this job, which is self-learning. Yeah. You know, for us, it wasn't going and sitting in a classroom and having an instructor come and tell you what's important to learn out of the book. It was, here's the book, here's the material. Read it, absorb it, we'll test you on it, and then come back and rediscuss if there's anything that's missing. So it really instilled a level of critical thinking, a level of just yearning for like knowledge and self-growth in those kinds of ways. So all those things that translate into being successful here at IT Works Recruitment and our niche markets is I jumped in feet first into Cerner. And I know everything about Cerner, and I read everything about Cerner, and I've really been like that through every job that I've had. When I've bartended, I've told them, make me a host, make me a server, let me get behind the line and prep salads. I want to know how the whole thing works. So I can be the best at my job as I can be. And I've done that with every career that I've had.
That's fantastic, because most people like grew up in very different upbringing, it really comes down to the mindset and mentality of thinking about, just tell me what your expectations is. I will meet your expectation and maybe exceed it. That self-learning, the entrepreneurial piece is always not quite something that I do believe that somewhat it can be ignited, but not always there.
Right.
So you're the individual, and I remember I first met you, that you have this, I see the fire and the passion there, but I knew that there was something much more beyond that. And I just started seeing that you're being completely geeked out on something, which all of us, we have more or less those elements.
I
Those
definitely
are super cool.
Somewhat obsessive personality. Sports, video games, cooking, whatever. It's like, I want to know everything.
And we started the afternoon sisters party around 4 o'clock. Each of us pull an orange right now.
Oh, God. You had the coolest looking oranges. They were like purple on the inside.
Orange.
Oh, God.
And you know what? I didn't know, because Renee told us that she actually just found out she's allergic to oranges.
Oh, were you serious?
We
were slowly poisoning our team lead over a course of 2 to 3 months.
She started getting these rashes. Sorry, Renee's not here, so we're going to talk about her for a little bit. She started getting these rashes, and she was like, I'm not sure what those are. She finally did her allergy test and turned on oranges.
That is crazy.
I know, it's crazy.
Poor lady.
Yeah, those were a good time, though. I remember when we started building our business.
Oh, yeah, back in the old office.
I know, crazy.
Not in the beautiful setting that we're in right now.
And then, props. So
props.
We're gonna talk a little bit more about those portions. So, it's funny because during lunchtime, I was taking a few folks out for lunch appointment near our old office.
Yeah.
And drove by. It kind of recalled me that from our experience started first together, and into this wild ride journey, especially this past a year and a half, 18 months.
Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit more about what you have been through, the big girl job transition to actually coming into really in a core staffing. What has the experience been like? So
the couple of roles that I've had before coming here. So essentially started off with supplemental healthcare. That was the staffing firm that dealt within the healthcare market. They did contingency and travel-based staffing for locum tenens, nurses, allied professionals, your PTOTs. That job, it was my first desk job. I actually had an office. I felt super grown up. Like I mentioned, the 401k was very important. But yeah, no, I managed a lot of things marketing related, communications, things like email blasts out about, trying to get candidates back interested in a position. So starting to kind of gain fundamentals from that. When I moved on from that role, I then was in a director of marketing position with a company called Oncology Solutions, which is a fantastic consulting firm. They're They're actually based out of Decatur, where I live. And they, once again, in the healthcare arena, assist hospitals and health systems with the development of their oncology service lines. So if you want to add a new vault to your radiation center, they have architects on staff that'll come in and scope all that out, what you can and can't fix. And actually it was my first introduction to EMR as well, because one of the clients there that we were assisting, we helped them with their vendor selection process for their oncology specific EMR system. So seeing how that whole process goes with workflow mapping, what's important, what needs to be included, what's not included. So it's a little bit funny, as we've mentioned a couple times, no one ever sees themselves in staffing. I never thought I'd be a Cerner specialist, but little pockets along the way have definitely
paved the road.
The first introduction to staffing, but not really. Then the first introduction to EMR, but not really. And then all throughout that has been a kind of food and beverage service line of periodic stints of bartending or serving, which I think goes back into really getting that customer service quality to you, and a mixture of sales quality to you. You need to be able to upsell someone on a steak topping,
and to deliver it,
or really sell in a special for somebody. But yeah, similarly, the way that you can successfully present a dish to a candidate, to a customer, but you sell them on the experience of that dish and what that's going to mean for them in the meal. A lot of that translates to what we do here when we present a candidate for an opportunity. It's not just here, look at their resume. I found some keywords.
Let me know what you think.
Let me know what you think. It's let me tell you their story. Let me tell you how they developed into being the absolute best fit for your organization, and how they're going to enhance your team. So
yeah, and I think that's a level of expertise obviously that we bring into the table, and then from how well we know our market.
Yes.
Yeah, and to be a true dominator, I think, in the particular sector in this case. Now, tell us a little bit more about, obviously, that you have been in a different staffing capacity prior to IT Works. Now, coming into this entire full desk, actually really in the hands-on doing the role, and then making things happen from scratch. Tell us a little bit about what has your, the moments of when things are clicking, when things are happening, and it's like, I wonder what I was thinking 30 days ago from this, or 3 months ago from this.
It took a year.
So walk us through, because I think a lot of people that they think that they know what it is, especially most people think that, oh yeah, that's what it is. I know that I can definitely do it. But when they're actually going through that process, what was that like for you specifically in the journey? It was
a roller coaster, to be sure. I mean, first off, even just me joining IT Works, I started off in a different market. I wasn't in Allscripts. I was in Allscripts, not Cerner. And it was developing, and I did that for a couple months while I was learning what our basic best practices were. And then when we realized that I might be better suited for the Cerner market and changed over, I started to see traction, a lot more traction on some of those best practices, and you kind of run that high of, I got a client to call me back, or oh my God, I think I found a candidate for this role. But it's not really till you've seen those cycles go through a couple of times that you start to realize how all of the puzzle pieces fit together, as opposed to, I would easily say my first 4 or 5 deals even, at each step I felt like I was doing it all over again for the very first time. And I was prepping a candidate for the very first time. I was sitting there crossing my fingers hoping that I was going to hear back from the client later on that day, and setting expectations. So what has really helped it kind of click is the investment of my time, not just becoming an expert in my market, but continuing on with training that you, lovely, help us with so much, and all the resources that we have here at IT Works to kind of hone in. You can always be better at something. You can always resource better, qualify a candidate better, pull together a resume better, set expectations better. Honestly, it just took a while to build the confidence. But once you can approach your market with confidence and learn that you can say no, and that you're not just like every other recruiter. You're a specialist and you're a commodity really to these organizations. You provide them with something that a lot of people can't do. So elevating yourself, as you like to tell us so often as well.
And at all times,
and
because you never know.
Randomly. But yeah, just having the confidence factor and the faith that if you stick to the process, it's going to work for you.
And trust the process.
Trust the process, absolutely. And only recently, I mean, I'm in the most successful time I've ever been with IT Works right now.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
But it's a lot of that has been also due to not letting it be so much of a roller coaster. We talked a little bit about cycles, and that's a developing best practice for us. But realizing that if you put all of your eggs into one basket, or even 2 or 3 baskets, if they're all at the same stage, then you spend a lot of time sitting and twiddling your thumbs and crossing fingers. And there's so much more you can be doing to optimize your time. So
and we don't want to be in that finger crossing moment.
Absolutely not.
I don't even know how many times I say this week, hey, recruitment is all about
making it happen.
And I'll get another example. That's good.
We'll get another victim soon. A passerby.
Yeah, because one of the obviously about making it happen, the whole full desk approach is quite different. And I think that in that journey of making it happen, I'm glad you talk about the confidence portion, because I think that most of us are confident individuals, and then us, shockingly to say, I think you're looking at a full room of pretty much all type A individuals. But that confidence, how do you redefine, build, rebuild, develop when it's shattered, and then how do you find that moment of building that confidence?
I say a lot of it comes from the collaborative environment that we have here. I mean, I'm someone who very easily can become down on themselves. If for some reason my candidate accepted another offer, I'll be kicking myself. Why didn't I know that? Why didn't I find that out beforehand? How could they not tell me? Those kinds of things. But having such a great, not just in health team, every single team here, having those people building you back up. We celebrate things, small wins here that we talk about. So maybe your deal just fell through and you're really feeling down in the dumps, but you try and turn it back around, and your candidate that you worked with a couple months ago gives you a recommendation on LinkedIn. It's like, celebrate that. Aww. It doesn't always have to be about the deal or the placement at the end of the day. It's allowing yourself to realize that there's lots of great things that you can do along the way that you can celebrate that helps boost your confidence. And in reality, by celebrating those small wins at each step and recognizing them, those are the most important steps in order to make the overall goal successful.
Absolutely.
If you don't celebrate getting a commitment for an interview date with a client, then how do you know that that's a really important step for you to complete? If you don't celebrate the fact that you got a really excellent feedback session from a candidate once an interview is over, how do you know that that's a really important step for you? So by celebrating those small wins, I think it simultaneously boosts your confidence, but also just make sure that you're following the best practices of recruitment.
Absolutely. And then I think it's a common myth that most people think that clients are all the same, especially in healthcare. Oh, I've been in healthcare for 10 years. I know what it's like. But they don't know that even a similar scope of practice or size of organization, they're really apples and oranges. Because a lot of people forget that this is a human being. This is a people business.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, I think that we can all stereotype people into there are 12 different type of clients, 20 different type of clients. There are 10 different type of candidates, but everybody's
4 different
different.
decision makers.
Exactly. And that's the finger cross recruitment element of the piece. It's about really constantly elevating ourselves, and a lot of time really trying new things. And I've seen that repetition actually being done on you, and then every time you keep doing something that's elevated from your last deal, how you close the last thing, and then now seeing that you have started taking on the mentorship.
I have, yes.
We're new individuals. Tell us about what that experience has been like for you.
It's really great. It's my second mentee that I've had, but it's a little bit of a selfish practice, because in teaching this individual all of the best practices for us, it's a great reminder for yourself.
Absolutely.
Did I write my daily plan last night? I don't know if I've done that in a week. But it's great, and then it's also recruitment's a hard business, and especially in my personal opinion, health is a very difficult market. It's very saturated. There's lots of generalist recruiters out there, competition. The people that we work with, they get 20, 50 phone calls a day from different people saying, I've got the person for you, and we're trying to come in as an extension of their organization. So I know how hard it is, and one of the most rewarding parts for me of having a mentee is, when they're down, being all of that go-to encouragement. If they just got off of a candidate call and they're like, oh, what did I just say? I don't even know what I just did. I can come there and be like, you did great. You sounded so much better than the last one. Or I heard you, go ahead and close them on salary expectations. So being able to provide that level of encouragement, I think it's absolutely essential to, if someone wants to be successful here, we've talked about the roller coaster and how you stay confident and stay positive.
Absolutely.
And that's what I love the most about it, is being able to provide that and really celebrate with them. So
it's kind of funny, but we're just talking about on the other spectrum. Now essentially you become like the backbone, the people are in the back that's supporting them, helping celebrate that small win.
I didn't get here alone. My mentor, our team lead, Renee Andres, again, the one we slowly poisoned. She was amazing. There was times where I would, just be like completely, why isn't this happening? I feel like I've been like kicking myself. And she'd be like, let's just step outside for a second. And, she would empathize and say, your frustrations are the same frustrations that everyone in this job has had.
Yeah.
And it's okay to feel that way. And that her biggest advice to me always was, if you can leave the day and write it off as, I've done the best I can do, then it's a good day. You might not have gotten that deal done. You might not have secured that interview. But if you really feel like you pushed your hardest, then check it off as a good day in your book and don't let it get you down. So
exactly. And then the focus, come back, re-energize yourself, think about what can you do to elevate that from what you did prior. And a lot of times is that repetition will help us to build the confidence.
Yeah.
Also help us we know that we did something right, and now it's a matter of how can I do it better in order to secure the ABC always be closing.
Yes.
So,
Gordon Gekko.
Cool stuff. So on that note, I'm curious because you've always been a very committed person. Mm-hmm. Even looking at you from working the full desk, going into the hard BD calls, closing the candidates, securing the deals, do the right thing and the best thing for your candidates and clients. Also, I saw I've seen that you're committed to your workout routines. So tell us a little about that. Throughout all these commitment process, specifically about something you want to, obviously from my point of view, looking at you want to be better in your life, better in everything that you do. What are some of the things that, as corny as that sounds, goals and aspirations?
Goals and aspirations. No, I have plenty of them. And honestly, I'm a creature of routine and habit. And so if I get into a bad routine and a bad habit, I'm going to stick to it. So, and it's, they kind of go hand in hand. So personally or professionally here, I want my mentee to be successful. I want to personally be successful. I want to achieve target, exceed target, go after those, incentive programs that we have. And on a personal level, I've been committed to working out more. More specifically, I'm trying to do a triathlon in August, which I guess you can tie into the fact I've never done staffing before this job, and I've made myself successful. I've also never done a triathlon before, but I've ran and I've swam and I've biked before.
So that's the 3 triathlon,
see if we can
right?
pull them all together.
Wow.
Yes. So it's just a tiny race, but I'll say a shout out to Marcos Borges. I hope he's watching. He's my inspiration. He's my neighbor, and he's a Ironman. Wow. So on the very minuscule level that I'm training for, he does it on this humongous level. But he mirrors a lot of the aspects that I find here with IT Works of a collaborative and affirmative kind of environment. And so it's just always a positive influence. It's, hey, you going to go swimming today? Do you want to join me for this bike class? And it's never judgmental, but it started to get me into that routine. I do a cycling class every Wednesday, spin, run, spin. I've started swimming 3 times a week and starting to run on my own. And if I just commit myself to those certain days, then I ultimately find that, oh no, it's Monday. I swim on Mondays. It doesn't become a question anymore. So
cool.
But yeah,
similar to our consistency and continuity as
exactly.
well in doing what we do. I think most of you have heard from Christina. Probably help us pronounce your last name.
Oh, this will be a funny one. I did it in high school and it was a mistake, but I'll do it again. It's Calzolari. So also known, if you're from the north, as Calzolari. And the way that my dad told everyone to remember it was cow so hairy.
What? Do you know the literal translation?
It actually is known for shoemaker in Italian.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool.
So one of those, not like word for word translations, but obviously the profession of my ancestors on my father's sides were shoemakers, and their last names were Calzolari.
Cool.
So,
And going a little bit northern from Italy, there will be, the Germans will carry Schumacher.
yep, exactly.
Wow. Super, super cool. So now about the triathlon and then all. What else? What's on the horizon for Christina?
Well, we've mentioned me being pretty successful this quarter, which has felt great.
I believe that debatable, probably number one. I think now on gross profit, maybe two. But I think that obviously the quarter's not over yet.
Yeah.
I think that will be actually a milestone.
It'll be our team in general has done really amazing, and it's been that roller coaster for all of us over this year, but we've really started to hit our stride. So for me personally, it's been a actual goal. When I first started here, we had a goal setting session with Gary back in that old office in that old conference room that was always so hot.
I still want to find out where those papers are.
I know, right? We had sealed envelope letters where we wrote down goals. Yeah. But one of them actually was to do a Spartan race. So I've swapped that out for the triathlon. And then the other one was that I wanted to buy a house. So I have a wonderful, lovely boyfriend, Rob Woods. He's my heart.
You better be liking this too, watching this.
And we, found a place that we really love to live, the Decatur area of Atlanta. And with, me becoming more stable in this job and the success that we found, it's something that's actually attainable. It's something we talked about for a number of years of something we'd love to be able to do. But now, with the wonderful way that this company is structured, the commission structure, the way that it allows you to be as successful as you want to be, and with a lot of support from Rob and the longer hours and taking candidate prep calls on vacations. And
then the emotional roller coaster.
When I come home and I'm like, I hate everything. And other days where I come home and I'm like, I did a deal. But yeah, so it's a very imminent goal for us. So maybe January, February time period, and so yeah.
What would you want to be? Decatur?
Decatur, we think.
Decatur strong.
Not that successful. That's super expensive, but no, we want to be in and around that area. It's where we live right now. We got a really solid friend group there, and we absolutely love all of the breweries and Decatur Square. All of our little go-to spots.
Same puppy walk trail route, probably.
Yes, exactly. And Stone Mountain Trail is right there, so that's a really nice bike ride. So yeah, we'll hopefully end up in that area.
Sweet. So specifically within your market right now, I know they've been getting a lot of traction, and I know just by us start doing the little promo about this session that's going live right now, where most of you maybe are watching also the repeat, but we gathered quite a bit of a buzz from the Cerner world specifically. So tell us a little bit more about what's going on in your market right now.
Cerner is exploding. I'm sure many people already know that they have been awarded the DoD contract that they've partnered up with a company called Leidos for, really revamping the EMR system for the Department of Defense. They've just recently been awarded the VA contract, which is humongous. I don't know if I've mentioned, but my boyfriend is a physical therapist, so kind of in that clinical medical field. I've always been kind of aware of the VA and kind of its administration and structure through just randomly my dad in the Air Force and being in the medical field, and really revamping that system is going to be huge and amazing. So personally, in our market, I really love the way that Cerner is structured. It makes it kind of easy to understand. The surgery department uses SurgiNet, the radiology department uses RadNet. But the nice thing that I've definitely seen as it pertains to our organization is the fact that there's a huge push for the need for direct hire and permanent placement candidates. And the fact that our organization actually, myself and some other people here, exclusively specialize in that. So it's there's lots of agencies where I can give you a contractor, I can give you someone part-time or someone who can travel, and it can be very expensive. We actually get to really partner with our clients all throughout the United States in giving them someone who wants to potentially relocate or is already local, who wants to join that organization, become a part of it, and contribute to the overall success. So I would say the definitely increased need in that is a trend that we've seen in Cerner. And then also, as we've all hoped in the healthcare market, is the whole interoperability thing. So behavioral health service lines, the health information exchanges, the patient portals, all of those kind of side applications that were kind of maybe seen as too expensive or unnecessary have definitely started to come to the forefront. So I'm excited to see where that goes.
Exciting, especially as Cerner, the system actually grows as well in its usage and its how fast it's growing. And obviously we're talking about probably even look at the entire North America now as our team start gradually to have that bandwidth. I think that it creates lots of traction and facility. Essentially, like you said, you're seeing now more on the permanent direct hire capacity, but also we can help to secure both on the contract side and the perm side.
Absolutely,
but,
we can support it across the board. I mean, we definitely have a number of extremely specialized and experienced professional contractors, you know, because not everyone needs a permanent person. Sometimes they need that contingent staff when they've just finished an implementation and they're doing that kind of cleanup optimization, maybe didn't everything go exactly right and go live, or it's just a capacity issue. You know, maybe someone left, they're waiting to refill the position. We absolutely support across that line as well, and yeah, so it's been great. The ambulatory space is booming, which is really nice to see physician practices getting on board, and the fact of some of the structure that Cerner has, allowing those main inpatient acute facilities to like kind of finger branch out and provide the ambulatory solution to physician groups and practices that are part of their network, to where the doctor's office doesn't have to incur the entire cost themselves.
Exactly.
But it's still, the EMR allows them to really increase their patient care, not only with visit times because their documentation's cut down, or by optimizing their revenue cycle so they can bring in more income, which allows them to bring in more clinical staff or increase the service offerings in their practices. So the ambulatory space is really great to see as well.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah,
much
I love
more beyond the
Cerner.
treatment process. Yay! Cool. So obviously all the Cerner experts will want to talk to you.
Yes.
Christina Calzolari will be the person definitely you want to contact and get to know the ins and outs. 678-291-0081. And now last but not the least, I think that because you are a success story to many, especially, it's much more beyond just IT work, it's actually within the entire industry. I think you have changed the game quite a bit from where you came from to where you are today. I have two sets of questions, first of all.
Okay.
The first question is, I know that we talked a little bit about your goals and aspiration, about things you want to achieve. So if you fast track 2 years from now, what would the 2 years older version, 19 years old version of Christina would want to say to the Christina that was 2 years ago? So there's a 4 year
What
span.
would I want to say? What would future me want to say to me right now?
To the you that from
2 years ago now. Oh wow. It gets better.
It's not a travel project.
You won't be bartending for the rest of your life. You will find an organization that really values you and gives you the support and investment that you want. So yeah, I mean, I honestly, to a lot of the people out there, I was in that, what do they call it? Your second,
Cinderella.
no, when your hormones change.
I wasn't gonna go there.
No, but yeah, it's like, you got quarter life crisis, but there's that weird space, like in your late 20s, where all of a sudden you're
late 20s crisis.
Yeah, exactly. Second puberty, that's what it is.
Puberty. Hashtag it.
But where you're just kind of like, I am nowhere near where I thought I would be, and it's I think a lot of what our generation kind of had, whether it was economic factors, or I just think it's something a lot of people deal with within our generation. Of, you see previous generations having already been married with kids and bought a house and been in a stable job for a period of time, or
and the new grads now working the workforce 5-6 years, and you're kind of feeling like, I'm kind of right in the middle.
Exactly. So you look up and everyone's super stable, and you look down and there are people who are like
catching
professional Instagram travelers, and you're like, well, I could do that, but I'm stuck in this middle part. So, but yeah, it's just I would say take a chance. Don't have a rigid structure and timeline. ever since I was little, literally had a life plan for myself up until the age that I was 33.
Everybody tells you follow your dreams.
Yeah.
But how?
But how? But yeah. But my life plan, had I had followed it, I would now have already been married for 4 years, had 3 kids, and be living in San Francisco. So it shows you how things can change, and I'm absolutely ecstatic with where my life is right now. So I would say don't be too hard on yourself. Be open to chances and change. And as long as my mentor told me, you can sign off each day thinking you've done the best job that you can do in it, then you're in a good spot.
Yeah, no regret.
No regrets.
Cool. Last question.
Okay.
For all of the individuals out there, probably we're looking at from, potentially looking into staffing, want to find out a little bit more, very inspired by your story.
Oh.
So what are the suggestions and feedback you have for them specifically want to look at coming into potentially staffing?
I think that coming into staffing and coming into IT Works is 2 very different things. It's kind of like the difference between having a Hershey's bar and having a Godiva chocolate. But I would say that if you are interested in IT Works recruitment or in coming into the staffing field, which I highly recommend you look into, talk to my man Kyan here or Melissa Howard, is that it definitely takes a certain kind of person. You need to have that drive and desire to really be specialized, to be able to put in the time after hours into really learning and knowing your market. I mean, Justin McCurley was on the show a little bit ago, and he literally came into work and had made himself a binder, like with tabs to learn the Lawson market. And I was like, in my head, I would have thought like dork, but at the same time, I was like, that's the coolest thing I've seen. That's
commitment.
Yeah, that really strive for knowledge. I want to know everything kind of person. I would say, additionally, on top of that you have to have a self-motivation attitude, in that we're not a KPI organization. We're not someone standing over your back. How many calls have you made? How many submissions have you done? Because that's not what niche recruitment is. Niche is sending over the right person for the right position that meets with what the client's wanting. But if you are not a self-driven, self-motivated person who wants to succeed on your own outside of what the company may have for you to offer, then it will be difficult for you. So you need to have that drive. And absolutely, what sets IT Works apart, I would say, from any other organization, beyond our model, beyond our structure, is our culture, is the fact that we invest back in you. We provide you with the training, we provide you with the support, the mentorship. It's not like you're thrown into the deep end. We give you the time to develop the skills, we give you the best practices, and the collaboration here is beyond anything. Within every job that I've had, I've thought at times, could this be my dream job? And I definitely, when I walked into IT Works, I'm like, this is not my dream job.
Especially the old office that we had.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
but
it's
now,
not about appearance.
Where I'm at, when you start to kind of reevaluate and think about, to me, what is a dream job? And it's being with an organization where I can be successful and I feel supported and motivated. And that's what it is. We absolutely celebrate everybody here. We give everyone the opportunity, and I think we say it a lot to people in interviews. If you invest in us, we'll invest in you. So
yeah, it become not just beyond mutually beneficial, but we have each other's back, and we want to make the most out of this whole thing, and then help each other become the best that we can be.
I've said it before, it's the first company where I'm friends with my coworkers on Facebook.
And we actually want to hang out with each other.
We actually want to hang out with each other.
That should care. No, not that I should care. Love you all. But thank you, Christina.
Thank you so much.
Great insights. Hopefully we don't butcher this mic. Thank you all. We'll see you next week. Christina Calzolari, Cerner Specialist, 678-291-0081. We'll talk to you soon. Yeah.